Hey guys, welcome back to another Architecture Real Talk. Today we have an exciting topic about a student that has been accepted into University of Texas Austin Architecture program, as well as University of Houston Bachelor of Architecture program as well. So how does he differentiate between the two programs? What things should he look for? And let's do a quick dive and a breakdown of looking at just Texas universities and how should we go about approaching all these architectural programs. So first thing I want you to give emphasis to is a NAAB accredited programs. I can't highlight this enough, and it's the biggest factor in determining which field you will go into. A NAAB accredited program is either a 5-year Bachelor of Architecture or a master degree. Now, if you look at a Bachelor of Science in Architecture, it is far more different than a Bachelor of Architecture, a B.Arch, right? So much so that this degree allows you to pursue licensures. This is the only way you can become a licensed architect. The title architect belongs to a licensed person. You cannot call yourself an architect unless you have a license. Now, becoming an architect, the first thing you need is an accredited, or you have earned a degree in a NAAB accredited program. And we'll look at that. We have master degree programs and we have bachelor degree programs. And it's really how you want to approach it. You have to gain X amount of experience, and then you have to pass all your ARE exams. There's 6 in the ARE 5.0. And you can, if you're halfway through transition, you should be in AR. Actually, in this point, you should only be looking at ARE 5.0. And then lastly, you acquire your certificate, you acquire your license, you acquire the ability to stamp, and acquire the ability to open your own company. So let's go ahead and get started with picking our architecture program. The first program I want you to look at is an undergrad in B.Arch or a major in architecture in Rice University. So this is one of the most prestigious schools in pretty much all of Texas, I would say, when it comes to architecture. You have total of about 190 credit hours, right? All in all, you need about 130 minimum to satisfy the degree requirements. You have multiple amount of architectural theory. Another thing I want you to pay a particular attention to is the architectural degree either being heavy in theory, design, or a technical architectural degree. We're going to be discussing the terminology as in architectural design theory versus technical architecture. A technical architecture degree allows you to become more of a person who is knee deep in construction documents. You're now looking at how to detail, how to go through the permit process, how does architectural field itself works, right? As we know it today. Architectural design theory or design heavy schools look at innovative designs. They're looking at pushing the boundaries of what architecture is now. I preference somewhere in the middle. You want to be a little more on the technical side sometimes. And if you're a more creative individual, you'll thrive in a more creative or an architectural design school versus an architectural practical, or I could call it technical drafting or something that heavy. So I'll tell you about the balance. But when it comes to this particular program, you can look at it right off the bat. You have foundation in architectural theories. You have multiple examples in Metropolis, understanding architectural background, history. This is definitely a design heavy school. We're looking at 130 credit hours minimum requirements. You can go all the way up to 190 credit hours in this particular degree. You can acquire a master's in architectural history in multiple types of advanced topics. You have study of cities, organization. Again, a lot of heavy in theory. Now, the next program I want you to look at is a good mix. And this is the program he's been accepted into and a program that I'm an alumni of. Now, the degree program of Bachelor of Architecture, we're going to be looking at the degree plan itself. You have to understand, one of the biggest things in any architectural program is going to be design studio. Design studio is a studio-like environment. This is the place where you will be exercising your architectural knowledge. This is where you're going to be making a lot of your projects. This is exactly where you're going to have your juries. This is all my talks have been about when the students are struggling. Now, you can look at how this program builds up. A misconception about architecture program is, hey, I can do about 2 years in Lone Star or a community college, Houston Community College, and I can transfer myself into an architectural program, and I'll finish that degree in 2 years. That's not how it works. If you're looking at studio in any program, it builds on itself. Whether it's a 4-year program, 5-year program, it doesn't matter. You need 8 or 10 classes, and they're all prerequisites. Looking at this particular program here at U of H, look at how Design Studio builds from 1 all the way to 10. This is a 5-year B Arch, and this is an accredited program. The next thing I want you to look at is how these tech classes are building up. Another indication of, hey, this might be a good mix of technical school as well as a design school. Now, another thing you're looking at is there's some history classes built in. There's some physics classes built in. You're going to have some foundation level courses. Now, if you go back to your program here in Rice University, although this was very theoretical heavy, you still had requirements for a minor, or what I would call it as your technical classes. These are classes you can take. For example, your English 1301, your physics classes. All of this can be taken at a different school, but nonetheless, you are still bounded by those studios to take every year. So one of the things you can do is transfer these courses over. Another thing you're looking at is going back to the architectural program here. You can do a Bachelor of Architecture and you can pair it with the environmental design degree. Notice how if you're looking at this program, side by side, if you do pick U of H as your go-to, you can pick your environmental degree as well. A Bachelor of Science Environmental Design degree, it is not an accredited degree. This is a pre-professional, which means it requires a 1 year additional for a master's that will allow you to actually have an accredited degree. Now, this is your choice. The choice is you either pursue a Bachelor of Science in Architecture and do another year or 2 years in some programs to get your NAAB accredited requirement, which allows you to pursue licensure, or you go for a 5-year Bachelor of Architecture, a B Arch, instead of BS, a B Arch that will allow you to go directly into practice. Now, the shorter route is going for a 5-year NAAB accredited program. But I'll show you guys that there's drawbacks and there's also some things that you can actually take advantage of. So looking at this, if I was going to University of Houston at this point, I would pursue a BS of environmental design, simultaneously side by side with a B Arch. They look to be an overlapping program. You have pretty much almost the same amount of classes lining up, and this only take an advisor visit to say, I want to enroll in both, and I wouldn't be surprised you can walk away with 2 bachelor degrees, one that is NAAB accredited and the other one that just serves to fill your resume, right? So again, looking at this type of a situation and taking advantage of it. So if we are looking at University of Texas at Austin, and we're looking at the School of Architecture here, you can look at the program, and we have quite a bit of program, just like what we found in Rice. You have architecture, architectural history, you have community regional planning. These are all great things. And you can look at these programs, and the larger the university, this is a state level university, you're gonna have more programs here. But we're more interested in the architectural program. Now, when you click on architecture, you can compare these degrees side by side. And practically what you're looking for is, what is my degree requirements? What classes do I have to take? Again, this say that this is a Bachelor of Architecture. That means this is a NAAB accredited degree. Look for that. That's a NAAB accredited program here, and that's a 5 years. Let's go ahead and click, and let's look at my degree requirements. If you look at the degree requirements here, again, we have this issue. That's first semester, second semester, third semester, fourth semester, fifth semester, and then a comprehensive studio. That's 3 years already right there. And then you have advanced design taken 4 times. That's equivalent of 2 years. So this is a 5-year program, and this is where primarily all your efforts going to be spent, 20 hours in just straight studios. Again, a heavy push in visual communication. That means this program will get you farther in terms of public speaking, right? You're looking at professional practice. This is good. You need some practical knowledge. Some site design, environmental control, and these are support classes here, constructions and all of that. These are equivalent to the tech classes you find in U of H. And then you have a history program. And then lastly, if you want to dive deep into it, you can also look into the fact that what is my core curriculum requirements. In this case, we're requiring math, but this school is not heavy in math. If you look at the Rice program in particular, you're required all the way up to calculus. When it comes to U of H or UT, you're looking at pre-cal as your math. If you're stronger in math, if you're a much more, you have much more fortitude in mathematics, I would pursue a field more in line with a technical school. Now, both of these schools are a good mix. You have a combination of technical classes. You're taking quite a bit of architectural classes here, but you're also mixing them up with physics. You're also looking at, wait a second, we have calculus here. So in this architecture program at UT, we do have calculus. Compare that to the BRs that we were looking at here, Bachelor of Architecture. I think the highest math I saw here was pre-cal. Notice pre-cal is the highest math here. So these are certain things you got to take a look at. So in terms of a design school, we're looking at architecture program in Rice to be the most design oriented, where you have very heavy design classes. Then I would say U of H being the second most design oriented school. It's a good mix. I would say is closer to technical than it is in Rice. And then UT having more technicalities when it comes to, they have far more visual communication, far more basic core classes. So this would fall right in the middle. So I would call UT to be a good mix of architecture design and architectural how we know it in practice. Then the next program that we're looking at is pretty much Texas Tech. Now, why did I even put this here? One of the things that stood out to me when I started looking into this school is you can acquire a bachelor's in architecture along with a bachelor of civil engineering in 5 years. Now that is powerful. If you look at the curriculum, very, very math heavy. But if you do have a choice where you're not accepted into either one of those schools, the Bachelor of Architecture here, they do not have a NAAB accredited program. What does that mean? Well, you will never gonna become an architect in full practice. That does not mean you cannot become an architectural intern, a job captain, or a project manager. First year, you're looking at architectural design, but you're also looking at Cal 1. Notice you already have Cal 2 here. Again, if you walk away with a civil engineer degree and an architecture degree in a 5-year program, I think that speaks volumes by itself. I would pursue master degree at this point, future in my life, and see what this degree will get you. You'll have a lot of doors opening up in this particular circumstance. You're looking at multiple architecture classes. You're looking at very, very heavy chemistry classes as well. So this would be a more technical oriented school, by far most technical program. They do not have an architecture program here, and their sister school might, but this particular Texas Tech University does not have an architecture program. A lot of schools either have architecture programs or they do not, and we're going to be looking at those particular schools. Now, when it comes to Prairie View A&M, another solid architecture school, we're looking at an undergraduate program. Again, notice that this says BS in architecture. That's not a NAAB accredited program, but they do offer a Master of Architecture, and I'm going to click on that just to show you that this is a NAAB accredited program. And program 1 means that you have a Bachelor of Science in Architecture, and this is a pre-professional degree. This will allow you to become that professional. This will allow you to actually pursue into an architectural role. Again, a 5-year program that allows you to actually have a master's degree. Again, 36 semesters, that's 1 year. Combine that with 4th year, you have a 5-year master degree alongside a NAAB accredited program. And again, a Bachelor of Science in Architecture. This one is straight down the middle, right around U of H. You also learn a lot of theory, but you also supplement it with a lot of architectural courses. This is not as technical as Texas Tech was, and this is never going to be as technical as A&M. So again, I'm looking at these classes. I'm actually responding to it. I'm looking at where do I fall here. There's a structural systems class. This is quite more technical than what we have in an architecture program that was highlighted by U of H. This might be a more technical school. You're comparing and contrasting credit hours. You're looking at, if you were to compare the credit hours, we had 130 credit hours for Rice, right? A far more expensive school. 160 credit hours requirement for U of H, 161 credit requirements for UT at Austin. And then we're looking at this program, and this is going to have far less credit hours because we're only looking at 130, 133 credit hours. But you need another 36 credit hours from your master's. So you're way over 160 already. You're like 168, 169 credit hours. What does that mean? That means how much time you're spending in school. Lastly, we're looking at A&M. So if you look at their majors, they don't even offer an architectural program. This is a Bachelor of Environmental Design degree, a non-accredited degree. Again, if we're looking at construction science, that's a whole different degree track, right? If I was to be looking at something like this, I might even go as a contractual role. If I go into a contractor role, I would be looking at a Bachelor of Science in Urban and Region Planning. This stands out to me more than an architecture degree at this point. If you look at that program, it is completely out of architecture, but they do have a solid landscape architecture program. So you have to start weighing in your option. Tuition is one thing that you can look at, but I would gravitate towards which one has a stronger architecture program. At the end of the day, you want to be where you want to be. This is not, I'm not talking about financial planning here. We're looking at, if I was to click on this bachelor degree, again, this is going to be a far more technical school. You're already having math classes right off the bat, business calculus. So this will be a more technical degree, but provided you're going to walk out as a contractor, you're understanding land development, GIS, and urban planning, and you can later on branch into architecture. So 150 credit hours requirements and a 5-year degree. So if we were to look at all of these programs, these are more or less all the architecture programs that are inside state of Texas. And if I compare and contrast them very, very quickly, as I said, you're looking at average of 160 credit hours. We're looking at 160 credit hours. We're looking at how the classes are oriented. We're looking at professors after that. How do I sign up? What role do I want in society? Do I want to be a design-heavy school? Do I want to be more technical and become more of a project manager? And do you see yourself as a creative person or a person that just dishes out buildings? Now, this is up to you. Where do you want to have your education take you? And I hope this could help. Follow for more content.